How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Wildcard Productions, and this is not another episode of the Amazing Wildcard Show because I decided to try something a little different. I've noticed that when I watch a movie or play a game or read a book or something like that, sometimes my initial knee jerk reaction is a little different from the reaction I get after I've had a little bit more time to think and, I have multiple exposure to it. So I decided that instead of doing just the long form reviews that are about 20 to 30 minutes, I would also sometimes do just quick, 5-10 minute reviews. And I'm going to start off with Alita Battle Angel because I saw that yesterday. Earlier this week, I saw Captain Marvel. So let me know in the comment section if you want me to talk about that too. And if you want to see a long form review of both of those movies, also let me know in the comment section. Also, like this video if you enjoy and subscribe if you want to see more. Ring the notification bell if you have to be the first in line to see my next video. So, Alita Battle Angel. This is my second time recording this video because Premiere Pro is acting strange. um, yeah, Alita Battle Angel, awesome movie. Very, very intense. It was high action, fired on all cylinders for the whole time it was on. It's it never feel well. There are a couple of times when it's like, yeah, this movie's starting to feel a little long. And then something awesome happens, like, okay, I'm back on, just like that. I'm back on board. You started to lose me, but then you got me back. Well done. Yeah. So James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez are in charge of this. In charge of this film? Who says that? What? What? Robert Rodriguez directed this film. James Cameron produced it. James Cameron has actually been sitting on the rights for this movie for like my entire life. He bought the rights in like the late '90s to Alita Battle Angel, and he has been wanting to do this for years. But eventually, I guess he decided to let someone else handle it because now I guess he's focusing on Avatar and trying to build that franchise up. So he gave it to Robert Rodriguez, and that was possibly the best choice to make for the entire movie because Rodriguez, I haven't seen all of his work, but evidently he worked on one of the Sin City movies, but I know him from Spy Kids, and I've always viewed him as the kid-friendly version of Quentin Tarantino. So that alone was enough to get me on board with this movie. And the visuals, the effects, the cinematography, everything just like about just watching this movie is incredible. They really took a lot of time to build up the visuals, especially in uh, the effects department. I never got the feeling of, like seeing something and not really feeling like it's there or like, like uncanny valley or anything like that. Everything looked really good. They took a lot of time to like really build this world and really feel like it's been lived and really feel like it has a history. And the cyborgs and everything, they all have their own very distinctive looks, and everything about them is unique and different. And there's even like one of the cyborgs, the Pan, one of the hunter warriors, has on his back, he has like all these engravings and designs and everything, kind of like tattoos. And like I didn't really notice it, but someone else told me that they were seeing like skulls and stuff on the back, which I think is really cool. I think all of that is really cool. And Alita in her first body, because she ends up switching bodies later on in the movie. Um, her first body has all these like engravings and designs on it all over the place too, and it was really good. It was really great. And a lot of thought was put into just the visuals alone, and just a lot of TLC, tender loving care, was put into this movie. And yeah, it was great to look at. But what about the plot, you might be saying? What about everything else that makes this movie? Well, I'm glad you asked. The plot is complicated, but it's good. It's good. You can't really simply explain it, but it is good. So what happens is Professor or Doctor Ito is a cybernetic specialist, I guess. What he does, he has this shop where he's basically a cyborg doctor, and he repairs cyborgs and everything like that. So Yeah, he's in the scrapyard looking for new parts for his business, and he sees what looks like a human core, right? Basically, a cyborg with like no body, and it ends up being Alita, and her brain is intact, and he brings her home and gives her a new body, and eventually he ends up taking her in, and they form this like really great like father daughter kind of relationship, and as the plot moves on, we start to realize that Alita has no memory of who she is, but apparently she is an ancient cyborg warrior with a lot of really advanced technology inside of her. She just can't remember. She doesn't know her name. She doesn't know where she comes from. So once the bad guys of the movie start showing up, and she starts just pulling all of these super advanced martial arts moves just out of nowhere based off of just pure muscle memory. She starts to gain her memories back, and she starts to figure out who she is. And so that's mainly the reason why she's fighting and pretty much going up against all the bad guys of this movie, is to pretty much regain her identity essentially. And there's also a floating city in the sky that also has a huge part to play in the plot, called Zalem. And everything in this movie eventually ties back to Zalem. So Alita's past, the reason why she was found in the scrapyard by Dr. Ito, all ties back to Zalem. Who she is and where she came from all ties back to Zalem. There's a lot of focus on Zalem in this movie, which was something that was, which I guess is slightly different from the manga and the anime that this movie is based on. I never read much of the anime. I'm only on volume one. I only just finished volume one. I still haven't moved on to volume two, and the manga has been running for 20 years and it's still going. So, so I've got a lot to catch up on. But I, but from what I've read of the manga and what I saw in the anime, Zalem wasn't that big. Well, all right, yeah, it was, but it was a much more central part of the plot. In the anime, it was kind of more in the background. It focused more on developing Alita as a character. But this movie, it features Zalem as much more of a plot point. And yeah, that's basically the plot. And 90% of the cast pulls in a really great performance. Um, that guy from Green Book, Mahershala Ali. Usually, I pride myself on pronouncing words and names right, but with him, I'm just never sure. I never know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Um, I think he might have been in Black Panther as something. What was he in Black Panther? I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't matter. He's really good in this movie, but he's always really good. Oh no, you know what he was in? He was in season one of Luke Cage. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, he's really good as one of the villains in this movie, and Jennifer Connelly is in it. It's it looks like kind of an odd choice, just if you're not actually watching the movie, or at least I thought it was an odd choice. I was like, I didn't even know she was in the movie until like a day before I saw it, which was yesterday. I saw it yesterday, and I was like, what? What, Jennifer Connelly? What are you doing? But she ends up pulling in a pretty good performance too, and pretty much everyone is like really just diving into these characters and like really bringing them to life. There were only two characters that kind of like that I was kind of like pulled out of the experience with. Mainly, the guy that plays Alita's boyfriend, Hugo. He's he's not a bad actor. He's not. But just something about him in this movie, just like I was getting flashbacks of Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker in the prequel trilogy, and I don't know. It was just really weird, and anytime he came on screen, it kind of like pulled me out of it a little because it was weird. The rest of the movie, because the visuals and like the directing and the acting are just so great, you feel like you're really part of this world. You really feel like everything's happening around you, especially if you watch it in 3D. Watch this movie and watch it in 3D. You won't regret either choice. Trust me on that. And yeah, but anytime Hugo came on screen, it was like I really believe that this guy got a script and read it and memorized it and really tried hard. But he probably just wasn't the right guy to cast in this movie. I don't think it was his fault. But I didn't like that. And there was another really weird casting choice because in the manga and the anime, Professor Ito has this assistant who has this like he has this really striking visual design. He's like a short, pudgy, kind of guy with like a really flat head, and he's like you kind of like you could just hear his voice when you're reading the manga. It's like but uh, instead they casted uh, an actress who was fine. They gender swapped him, and they casted a black actress, which that's fine. But I was really looking forward to seeing that character on screen. I really wanted to see what they would do with him, but he wasn't even there. But it was fine, I guess, because he wasn't really in because that the character that they replaced him with wasn't really part of the plot much at all. It was just kind of an odd choice, but it was fine. It was fine. Um, but everything about this movie, especially the fight choreography and the action scenes, were oh my goodness. Okay. Um, there was especially towards the end of the movie. There's this one scene in the Coliseum, I guess, where everyone's trying to kill Alita, and she just takes them down one by one, and that was just really, really intense. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, so I mentioned this much earlier in the first take that I did, but even though this movie is PG-13, it's like it is super intense when it comes to the action. It's super intense, and had had so many cyborgs not been in the movie, if had they treated the human characters like they treated the cyborgs, this would definitely get an R rating. Um, yeah, it does get really intense and brutal at times, but it's all like really great to watch. It's really well shot and choreographed. It's all just really great. Um, and the effects again are just so good, especially with like James Cameron in charge. Like taking the lead of this movie, like captaining the ship. Of course, the visuals are going to be just out of the park. You know, some people feel like like a little bit of uncanny valley, especially with Alita and the big eyes, which like I get it. I just didn't feel that way. Personally, the big eyes was part of the draw for me when I saw the first trailer. I was like, what's up with those eyes? I kind of like it. But but yeah, amazing movie. Go check it out. I would give it like 8, maybe 9 out of 10. You know, and yeah, let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Uh, and I'll see you next time. Peace.